So meanwhile, I will tell you one thing, how the Ansible works and what are the terminologies. Let me check for the Ansible installation later on. Right, I will check my I- so let's have that it will how Ansible works. Okay, so I'm just creating something. Ansible generally works when it will connects to the nodes. So suppose we have one here. Uh, text box. Where is my whiteboard here? I'm just stopping and sharing my whiteboard. Share screen. Whiteboard. Okay. Now it's here. So if you are seeing here, we have format and spotlight text. So if you see, this is our Ansible node. That is Ansible where we have installed an Ansible. Okay. Even if we are Ansible is installed on a Linux machine or anything, from there also we can work on you can say Windows machine. So now we have this Ansible node, that is a main node. This is Ansible main, or you can say Ansible server where Ansible is installed. Okay, main server, Ansible is installed. Now from Ansible, we will have to connect to different nodes, different machines, or you can say different instance. If you are working on different instances on, you can say on a cloud. Okay, so this is our host one. This is our host 2, and this are, let me taking host 3, host 4. So these are the different hosts which are connecting to this node. Now on this Ansible server, we have, sorry, we have a playbooks stored there. We have our inventories. Okay.
So both the things, playbooks and inventories, will be in Ansible
Yeah,
node, right?
playbooks, as I show you, is a combination of this complete steps what we are doing.
Okay.
Playbooks are nothing but a complete steps we are doing. Okay, so this is a playbook and then the inventory. Okay, so once is my screen. So suppose this is our host one. Okay, now Ansible will SSH, will do a SSH on this host. We will do a SSH. That means SSH means command. Using a commands, whether it will, if you always the Ansible works on the Linux, will take some Linux commands. Even when you install on Windows, from Windows you have to go to the command prompt, and from there you have to work using this command. So now I have a playbook, I have an inventories. Inventories are nothing. Inventories are, you can say, inventories are the host collection of host IPs. Either it can be an instance ID, it can be an IP address. Using an IP address, we can also do using an instance ID. Suppose we are installing something, then we need a IP address of those instances. And if we are working, if we are doing with, we are just have to, you can say, start or stop. Okay, so starting and stopping any instance, we need a instance ID. So if we are working on, suppose we are working on installation some things, so inventories means the host file. Then host file will consist of, you can say, IP address of all the instances. But if you are starting or stopping, then inventories will consist of instance ID. So inventories are, you can say, a target servers on which you are doing. So in inventories, those target servers works. Okay. Now, along with playbooks and inventories, another thing which we must know is the roles. Roles means, roles provide, you can say, in Ansible, roles are framework for fully independent collection of variables, task. So if you think roles means, it is a collection of variables which are being used in because there are certain variables on which you are working. Suppose you are working to installing some softwares configuration management. So how you will work with this? You must have some variables. That is when you are pinging to the servers. So to go into that servers, you must need a username and a password. You will need, now on the basis of username and passwords, then you, one variable will be your IP address. Then only you can pass it from the host file. While writing it, you can pass it to this. So if you see the example in this, okay, so I will go to example later on. First let me see what are the terminologies which we use. So roles is one which is a combination of variables as well as task. Task means, task in Ansible means the command which we are giving to the targeted machines to work on it.
So basically, the role will perform the entire activity, like
Entire activity, whole performs the entire activity. So let me take another. Suppose I am defining one role. Let me take it from here. So if I say my role, okay. Yes. So this, there may be default role. Okay, so the default role is nothing but, you can say default role is, suppose default we have one main.yaml file. So in default role, what we say that Ansible will go to main.yaml file. I have named this as main.yaml file. My main file is this, and this file is calling other files also, or others playbooks also. Main, that is default, means the main playbook. So it will go to the main playbook, and in that playbook we can call another playbooks also, or after that. So we are defining default is our main.yaml main playbook. Okay, then we can say we can have a file handlers, role of a file handler, that it, how it will handle the different files. Then it will have a metadata. Metadata means others data which is required for this, knowing this. Then it others what we can define in a the templates to be used. So these are the different things. Then only the YAML file comes what we you are working on it. Okay. Then we can have variables defined. So in this way, when we define um, variables, okay. So these are the different things what we can define in a role. Any doubt here?
Uh, as of now, not don't have
Hmm?
any doubts. No. So the one thing is the default main YAML file means in the role. What will be the default things?
Suppose we say in a role we have defined nothing. We have defined only a default. Okay, when we are defining roles, then we have said default. Now if we say default, that means in it will and in front of default what we have mentioned main.yaml, that is our main file. Okay, so what we will do, we have, okay, that in role, when it was a default role, default means suppose we are not going to define this file handlers, metadata, templates, and where we have only defined default. Now in front of default we have written with the default. When we are defining a role, we say defaults, and after defaults we have just given main.yaml. Now what is default roles is defined here in this playbook. We can give any name, we can give any name. Now all the roles being to be used in this are default in this main.yaml in one file. Or what we can do, we can give in a other ways, that we have a file handlers. Now in suppose we are working on something, and now we want that um, to define the file handlers. So what we can do, the roles will be default. In default, when default roles, whatever the default is being defined in main, this file will go. Now file handlers, so suppose with the file handlers, I have seen, I have created one file dot YAML. So in roles, when we say file handler role, so and then I connect this file dot YAML. Okay, so in this file handlers, how the files will be handled, this the commands for this will be in file.yaml. So when we are defining UL, then we are giving one writing a playbook for that. Suppose for variables, so I will say here var.yaml is my playbook, which is having all the is a file, because Ansible always takes YAML file. So whatever we mention in a YAML file. So var.yaml is there. So when I will say templates, a variable, so it will go to the var.yaml, which is being kept at that position. So it Role means that variable it will take from this file. File handlers it will take from this file. So I have taken some things, some of the things which is to be used. Now let me give you one example how we utilize role in a one YAML file. I will close this. Mm, I will again share a new whiteboard. Mhm. So let us say that we are just installing. I'm taking an instance of installing a nginx server. Okay, using Ansible, installing nginx server. Now I have to define the roles. So how we can I will start my playbook. I will say now I will give the host. Host means the target. What is my target? To do a Tomcat, to connect to a Tomcat node. And I will mention Tomcat node. Okay. So it will go to the Tomcat node. Then I will say roles. Now one thing has to be taken care that whenever we are defining anything, suppose host, so it will always be by semicolon, followed by semicolon.
Okay.
And there
So
will be no,
everything like roles also are more whenever
yeah,
we're giving the different options, right? It has to be colon, right?
followed by
Semicolon.
the semicolon. So roles means now what role I will defining, I say roles and then I will go and now if I have defined roles like this, so it will not be in after this only. Now how it will come in Ansible playbook, how it comes at what he has to perform. So we have to tab it out. Okay. Now after tabbing and start with the dash. If we are giving some commands to this, how Ansible playbook comes that with the dash. And it will not be always. Now suppose I will do this roles here. I have defined roles and I have not tabbed it anything. I have started from this. Okay. So now if I will start from here, what it means that this is one command. The host is Tomcat. Now if I write here without giving any tab, I'm just saying without giving any tab, I am saying role. Now its role is install Tomcat. So it will not considered as a different roles to be in this form. It will not follow this. It will give an error that after this there is no command. What are the roles? It will find because for him this is a new command.
Okay, so everything has to be different, right? For the host, it
Yeah.
has a separate roles, and the roles have a separate category for tab has to be there, right?
What has happened? So what I have to do? I have to make a. Let me use my this. My PPT is visible to you?
No,
Okay.
it is a
Because
whiteboard
in
only.
whiteboard only. Okay, so I am facing that. So how we can say we have to this because I'm not able to do it. Select. Okay. So what I have to do here? I have to tab it. Now under roles it can, so what I can do it, I have two options. I will not define as a roles here. I will just say role and install Tomcat, or I can define more than this. Sorry, not Tomcat, sorry, Nginx. Okay. Now another, this again tab, and I say first role is to install it, and the second thing is to start it. Okay. So I say start, then colon, sorry, I will give here role colon start Nginx. Now I have defined their role. Suppose I don't want to define a role, there is an another way. Okay, so another way will be, instead of role I will just write down host, and then I will just write down action install Nginx and action start Nginx. Now what I have combined in this role, I
Can you
have
repeat once
combined
again?
in, yeah,
Anjali, actually, you have mentioned like a role and then action. What is the difference between role and action?
action means what I have to write it differently. That action, that to do, and for each thing. Now I have says role, and I have defined it here that install Nginx. Mm, I'm just giving you another things. Yeah. Now I have this host as a Tomcat, and this another way to write it out is like this. I will just, that I can only say is that action, okay, action. Now action shows what, that what I want to do. Okay, so I can say action, I will write down. Now if I am defining role install Nginx, it will directly go that it have to perform a complete install. It will take the you can say the RPM or MSI, and then install it and start it. Now if I say, so I will say I have to write down like action, then I have to write the complete yum command or apt command, that apt get install Nginx. Okay, so I am giving this action, then again I have to write the action, and then I will say sudo, that is a command to run it on start Nginx. So this is a different, if we are doing this, we are giving different here. What we have to apt get install Nginx, before that apt get we can say, so we, this will not perform, but this, if I define role install Nginx, it will go and install the Nginx, then start the Nginx. Here I have to write down first, I missed one command here, action. So you have to go action and apt get install, and now it will wget is used to get the either the RPM or MSI, whatever it is, wget, and then the URL of where your RPM or that is being there. So now if you are seeing, I have to write 3 commands: wget, then apt get install, then sudo start. No, one more.
Okay, you're saying that Until it's like a different like shell scripting versus
Yeah,
normal commands, right? So right now when we take like action versus shell scripting, the roles will be concerned with the playbook. So it will
playbook,
be decrease the command line also, right?
command line also.
Okay.
So if you say you are doing each time install, instead of writing a role is just giving them that what they have to do. Now if you are using the action, so you are using this complete all commands. Wget URL install, then start service, then sudo start engine. First the service will start. So this in this way it will work. Now here, right, instead of writing this all commands, what we have said, we have defined a role, install nginx, start nginx.
Got it.
So we are giving them a role is nothing but a framework, independently working a framework.
One more question is
Yeah,
how to select that particular application from the prospectively. For example, if Nginx are going to implement it,
yeah.
how it are going to select and then how it are going to push to the other servers like a destination servers.
Can you come again?
So how the software will be, for example, if you take some semantic going to be pick that software, from which location it you going to pick the
Yeah,
software, and then how is the destination going to be implemented? Can you give that examples?
yeah. What we are doing, instead of writing, suppose if you are seeing this playbook, this sample of a playbook, it is having all the commands in one playbook. Here I haven't defined the roles. I've just written the complete playbook with different command, task, whatever I want to do it. Now, if you say if I want to do this task name, okay, what I will do, and then here another name, that here it was stopping the server, then it was creating a report. So I have made it into a one playbook, two different things. Now, if in this case, when I have defined a role, so when I say role install nginx, it will go to that file where the commands about all these are being sent. So what it is, when you are defining you are making a framework, you can do it in two ways, but you are just making it in a way that multiple files, you are dividing it into a multiple files, and that has been kept at one place, and you are just running one playbook, that is in which you have defined the rules that install nginx. Even you can make it another install, suppose you have to install 4 or 5 this, so you have made files capped at one position, and one you can say in your source code management, those files are being capped till the version is not version is updated. So when you are using that, so let me take your example of patching. So patching is a monthly exercise. Okay, patching is a monthly exercise. Now in patching, you are doing different um, tasks. Okay, so in patching, if I am not wrong, patching we are just updating the different softwares. You do what you do in patching.
Basically, the security updates will be pushing from the WS servers to
Yeah,
all the solutions.
to all the servers. So in every month, patching is a monthly activity.
Yes, of course, monthly activity.
So now your patching is a monthly activity, and in each month, whether the version changes or something changes, or it is the same.
Version changes means you are talking about the
No, when
servers
you
on
are when
the
on a
KB files
secure,
will be, yes, of course, the KB file will be implemented. What is the security implementation? So,
yeah,
uh, for example, if I am using the 2016 server, so
mm,
last month I am using for the security breach has happened. So to
okay,
overcome that issues, so Microsoft
hmm,
will be given the new security patches
new
to
patches.
implement that particular servers.
Okay, yes. So now what happens when you will say your files are being capped at a different location? You can cap those KB files at one location, or you can define that KB files in one playbook. Okay, and then just you write one for patching, one simple playbook where you are defining the role. So when you are defining a role, install suppose 1 KB any file name. So you when you defined here install nginx, suppose I'm taking an example of install nginx. So what it is saying,
to install.
Yeah. Now, if you are seeing that, why we use this role? Because we are dividing different things into, you can say, uh, different small files. We have capped it at, we have created a simple playbooks. Now, if you see this playbook, I have taken this example of a playbook. Now, if you see this playbook, this is saying that creating a CSV, or if you see, this is such a long playbook.
Can you show me that? I can't able to see a screen.
Yeah, 1 minute. CSV. Mm, CSV means that Excel file. I can give you that what it is in. I think it is not being in my this server. This Excel file. Let me check it because I haven't saved the report. That was taking too much. I don't know what happens to me.
I think I was getting some whiteboard only. So other than that, I'm not able to see.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, when you are doing whiteboard, only whiteboard will be there. So now if you see, okay, at that time you are not seeing. Okay, if you see this playbook, now this playbook has
Still, it
so
was sharing. Still, it was sharing. It's not like I can't able to see the screen. That's the only.
you are not able. I'm
Yes.
okay. So
Yeah,
if
I
you
got it. Now got
yeah,
it.
okay, if you see this complete playbook, okay. Now if you are seeing this playbook, it is having so many tasks mentioned in one playbook. So either we can mention, we cannot, we can mention all these things in one playbook. That first task start sandbox instances, then stop sandbox instances, then what the other thing task creating CSV. CSV means one file. When Ansible stops, then it we are capturing the status. Now we in a host file we have 100 servers. It has gone to one server, it has stopped it, and then we captured that status, whether failed or success. We capture, we take out that status and put it in a CSV file or in one file. So it is doing and it is just appending that file. Okay. So here it is creating CSV, and now another task is, one task is this, another task is this. Then what it is going, and then it is sending the it is updating the task on the local host that status failed, false, true, then this way. Then in this what it is reading, it is making an entry of a CSV file, that whether this status failed, it will update it. Now after this so we get this in a report form in a CSV file, that in a Excel CSV format. So now what we have done, we have written all these commands, okay, all these commands in one playbook. Now it is so complex. The person who has written this playbook is okay, he knows what I have done. Now the user of this playbook, the user of this playbook, suppose most of the organizations, there will be other teams which is writing a playbook, and then it is handing over those to the operations staff, um, team. Okay. Now he has written this complete team. He knows what I am doing, and if any error comes, then I will go this and the person who has written. Okay. Now you are in a shift. You have written a playbook. Now when your shift overs, you hand over that to another person. Then another person who is working. Now the person who writes it out knows where he has written, and he can check what he has written. So instead of going to this long playbooks, what we have done, we have defined the roles. Okay, we have defined the roles. Roles means when I say I want to this start sandbox. So what I will do, I will just mention roles. Okay, I have just mentioned roles, and then After typing, now I have different role. I say role start instance. Okay, start instance, and then another role. So what I'm doing, I'm creating a framework. Stop instance, then another role from that. This is role create CSV. Now what I have done, what I have done, instead of writing all these, giving name and then name is nothing but what the action what is being done in that particular thing. Now name in one playbook I am not writing all these things. Okay, then I have a name task creating CSV. So what I will do here, I have defined it, how it will do, what are the instance ID, how it takes the profile. Profile means the credentials. Then what are the instance ID, what is the region, status, state running, wait true, register, start status. Okay, and ignore errors true, then debug what is the status of it. Where it will go into this variable start status. So I have defined this in this, and each task I am just repeating this. So what I will do, I will just write into a small files, small playbooks. One playbook start. So when I am defining my role here, start instance, now start instance, so it will go in that folder from where the playbook is running, and it will take a start instance.yaml. I have saved it into start instance. So the
Oh, you
file
mean to
name is
saying that that particular role will be in for the start instant, the second role will be in for the stop instant, right?
yeah. And what I have
Okay.
done, I have divided into a this one aspect, this start into one playbook, that I named it as a start instance
So you're
dot
calling
yaml.
the so you're calling the other
Yeah,
YAML file also in the same
YAML file
particular file.
in the same while defining, because I have given a framework, and in that framework it calling a multiple files instead
Got it.
of
But
writing each everything of the files. YAML files are what, they are commands.
okay.
So
But
on,
however, we need to write the commands, right? But in the
yeah,
different folder, different files, we have to
yeah,
writing on that one. Start and
writing on it.
stop, right?
Yeah, only thing is, when if something fails, now when I have defined a role here, so when your YAML main file, when you are running, where you have defined these roles, so what it will go straight to this, that it will give start instance failed. So now if I have all these things, now start in, suppose it is starting with the start instance. Now it has done everything, only thing what happens, it successfully done all those things, it fails here, create CSV. Okay, now if I will running all this, it will give me that not able to create a CSV. Now I have to go to this task, search the task where is create CSV, and then I have to check what is the error in my command. While troubleshooting, I have done. Now when I have defined a role here, what I will do, I will go to only directly to this YAML file, create CSV YAML file.
Okay, got it.
So the role is what, it is a framework, and it is calling multiple files here refer to the your YAML files. Now what happens, it will be simplified your complex playbook. If you take an example of this playbook, so it will simplifies your task, because you have divided, instead of writing into one playbook, you have divided into different playbooks. Now suppose everything is fine, it has done, it is setting, handling of adding a CSV, it is writing on CSV is also done. Only thing is, sorry, taking out the report CSV. Now it fails to make an entry in CSV, because what it will do, it is it will be able to create a CSV, but fails to make an entry on CSV. So what I will say, instead of this, in that, I will define a role. So I am creating a one type of framework here, entry CSV. Actually, my laptop E key is giving some issues. Entry CSV. Okay. So now my all tasks are successful till this point. My report is not generated. CSV is created, but it is not, no entry is being done in a CSV. Now my complete is done, only I fail at this point. So if I have all this in one playbook, I know that where I have written at this playbook, I know, then I will go to this. Now I have handed over to a B person. Now B person doesn't know that where I have, if I have written it in the beginning, if I have written it the end. So he has to go through the complete playbook, will search for the task entry for CSV, and then he will go. But if I am defining here the role, what is happening if I am defining a role? It will only go to this entry CSV and then find out where is the error.
You mean that instead of multiple lines of items, so if we
Yes.
shortcut to the 4 line item, so it will be perfectly shows that particular fourth line item will be effective for having issues. So we can go to that particular connecting file, then we can search it, right?
Yeah. So roles are only simplifying a complex playbooks.
Okay.
So in one, I have written this, uh, how it will work. I have written this start instance, one playbook, stop instance, create CSV, entry CSV, different. Now my, I will say that I have an, I said these are different CSV where I have different. Now I have to run my best to give it as main, name as a main dot YAML. So my main dot YAML have this above content. So in my main YAML, what defined, I have defined the host, because it will target we will give now. Okay, I have defined the host, local host. When I say local host, that doesn't mean that I am defining it as a local host. Local host means on my local, on Ansible server, I have my host.ini. So host.ini means that it is there, and it is having a collection of instance ID or the IP address, depending on if we are working on instance ID, or if we are using a host name, we are working on something, because it depends on our activity. Some activities required host names. So in host.ini, what I will put all the host names. Okay. If I am working with, now my activity needs host name. Okay. So my host.ini, this is the file which is created. We have to create this. So if I mention host, local host here, so on local host, it will search for host.ini. On that particular folder, it will go for. Now, if I'm working, my activity required host name. So what I will do, I will write here in host name in host.ini. Now my activity required IP address. So my host.ini will be having the IP address of all the instances. If it name, it required instance ID. If you are working on a cloud AWS, it has an instance ID. Now I have to work on instance ID. So my host.ini file will be having the instance ID. So when I run this, command main.yaml. So what it will be? It will go and it will search for host.ini. So depending on my activity, in activity what I require, I'm taking a general scenario examples that this way. Now after that, what I have defined this roles. Okay, I have defined the host and then always hyphen. Hyphen will hyphen space. It will tell the Ansible when you are running a playbook. Yes, this is my activity. If I have to define some now this. Now my main.yaml is having only this. So what is it is taking the host from host.ini. It is performing this roles activity for all the hosts in ini. Okay. So what happens? It will go start instance, it will run the start instance, it will check the status of the instance. If it is start, then it will call a start instance. If it is a stop, it will go. So all this is mentioned here. So it will go one by one to the row. So now I have two ways. I can write this complete playbook like this. Okay, or I can write my main playbook consisting of only this. So what it is doing, when I am defining roles, I am simplifying my playbook. Any doubt here?
The one question is, so if
Hmm.
you are mentioning the host, right? Host dot localhost. So localhost means, so if it's in the same server, okay. If it is in a
Simple.
different server, for example, I am giving the IP address for the 10 machines. So in that particular location, what I need to mention? So I need to mention all the IP address, or maybe like we need to mention something else.
No, can you come again? You are saying
You
you
have mentioned
are,
that the local host, right?
yes,
So the local host means the same server.
same server.
So
Yes.
if having the for the different 10 machines, the 10 servers we need to implement for the some instance, okay.
Hmm.
So what I need to mention over there? So the IP address has to be mentioned, or maybe
No.
like a local host, or
When
maybe
I say host, local host means that this INI file, which is having the IP at what the same thing I've said now. I have my one file host.ini. Host.ini is required. So host.ini is having other information about the servers on which I have to perform our activity. Suppose I want to, I have to install one security agent on 100 servers.
so you
Okay.
mean, so that the host.ini it's like a directory basis, right? Inventory
Yes,
basis
it is
kind
an
of.
inventory.
Okay.
Host.ini is an inventory of the instances. So when you are, what you are saying, host means how he find the target.
Okay.
Host means the target, the machine, the IP address, the information about the servers, how he will go to that servers. So it is in host.ini. We have host.ini. So I am saying here host.ini. These are the examples of activities, because it is not that always you are working with IP address. Sometimes you works with host name also. Sometimes you works with the instance ID also. Is it clear?
Yeah, got it.
Okay, so this is the things that, because I have taken before installing, I just thought what I will do, I will install it on a Windows and I will just put it in a file. What are the requirements for installing Ansible on the Windows server? I will share those steps with you. Okay, so that you can practice that.
Okay,
Okay, so now I will give you but I cannot give you this any task today because I haven't told you how to write a YAML file. So I think this is clear about it, roles and this roles, how to write, and
sure.
what are the
Yes.
different terminologies we are using.
Yes.
Okay. So if you see, there is one terminology, task.
Mm-hmm.
So how in that I have, I will take this one one YAML file. Now this is one start sandbox instance. Okay. Now it says host, local host. So it will go for ini file. It will take host. Host means from there. Now gather facts, that whether we have to gather facts means false. That is when it was running. If it is false, okay, local host means he didn't find anything in local host.
If nothing is there in the localhost,
Nothing
the
is
gather
in
facts.
the host.ini is there. You have performed one activity and then you have removed all the host.ini, so that if anybody runs an Ansible book, it will not do anything on that. Otherwise, it will be impacted. The production or development, the servers will be impacted. Suppose I have a one installing agent. Now, when we are installing agent, then to so that the agent will work, so we what we do, we reboot the servers. We reboot the servers. Now what happens when we do activities after that, it is a best practice that we can remove all the local the host.ini which is present there. We will remove all the host.ini if we don't need to work it immediately, or we
Can you
can
repeat once
remove the,
again? I'm not getting the point.
suppose we have not suppose I have to install an agent, and that agent, after installing agent, I'm rebooting the server. Okay, I have run that playbook. My uh, activity is performed. Now we don't need an agent to perform this run this playbook. Now a B person is also working. He is also having access to all these playbooks. Just to check, he has run this. Now people are working in time on either on dev servers or production servers. It are having those servers. So when they are working, immediately it will reboot. The what happens, the work will be, if it is going a production work, there will be a major issue. Production work is ongoing and the servers rebooted immediately. So what happens, we remove the host.ini from there, and then this happens when we have automated using a CI/CD pipeline in DevOps. Because if you are working manually on Ansible playbook, running an Ansible playbook, so each time you will give the command. So to save that also, in that case also it is, but you have to go to that particular location and then run it. But if any B person has run it, so it is better that you remove host.ini from there and kept it in any other folder or local SCM, just remove from there. So what happens? In that case, host.ini, if you are running on a on your manual Ansible playbook, running an Ansible command, not using a DevOps CI/CD pipeline, because in DevOps CI/CD pipeline, we take it from SCM. So each time it run, it will take host.ini from there. So what we do, we remove the host.ini so that it will not be, if somebody by mistake has run .ansible book. Suppose B person want to run a, we have 5 playbooks, main, suppose one for agent installation, another for stopping, or another one playbook for patching. Now instead of patching, what he has done now, in patching, if no reboot is, I think in patching also reboot is required.
Yes, required.
Yes, required. So let's say he want to run a start and stop instances, or have has to do another activity, configuration management, another activity, he has to install some new software. Now instead of running that playbook, he has run a patching playbook. Host.ini is there. So what happens, it will again, in between the production is going on, because whenever you do a patching activity, there is some you have informed the stakeholders that we will do patching this at this time, so they are aware of this if it is rebooted due to patching. Now patching window is in the evening, in the morning, another person has run the patching YAML. Now, if host.ini is not there, so it will not run. It will ask for host.ini.
Okay,
So
once that patching is completed, then host.ini will be removed, right?
you removed it. That is the best practice. So what happens? Gather facts. If it is false, it will not go to this task. If it becomes true, then only it will go to this task. Okay.
Okay.
Any doubt till this? What about the roles and how to get the host.ini?
No, no doubts.
Tomorrow I will try. If my another session will not be there, then what I will do, I will take your session. I will inform you in the my evening on at my night only, because if
Okay,
my session is not there, then I will take your session tomorrow,
okay,
because
no
there is
problem.
some sessions planned. So I have that's why I have given you to Nitish the alternate days, because for this week also session plan. Now on depend on that person, if he's busy with his work, office work, so he cancels the sessions.